and I pretty much guarantee that the next child, or every child for the next few weeks who was born in Burnley General Hospital, will be called Manuel, including the girls. Hi, this is Mike. Welcome to my vlog about football in general and Burnley FC in particular. A vlog presented by an almost 50-year-old man with a ponytail, yet I still think that Gareth Ainsworth has a stupid haircut. That's it. We're the champions. We're the champions of the championship. The icing on the cake, the title as well as promotion, as well as 2 derby wins, and it happened down the road at Ewood in something that is unprecedented and likely ever to happen again. We will have that over them forever. Clarets limped over the line effectively. A couple of draws away at Reading, away at Rotherham, then that loss to QPR. Now, if you're kind of looking for something where it's dry and analytical about last night's match, I ain't going to do that today. If you want something analytical, then I recommend, I'm going to put a link up in the corner to the vlog I did for the excellent No Nay Never podcast, talking about how QPR and Gareth Ainsworth in particular has devised a set of tactics for time wasting that is unprecedented and unseen in football and in danger of sort of ruining football as an entertainment spectacle. That's more analytical. If you're interested in that, the link is up in the corner. This one is coming from the heart. This one's coming from the 30 years of being a Claret fan. If it was down to me to kind of express what I really felt, there probably wouldn't be any words. It would just be a succession of screams, of happy yells, of other noises of delight. We became champions on their patch, and it was kind of odd, but maybe it was fated to be. With the stutter against Reading and Rotherham and QPR, maybe it was fated to be. Or maybe Vincent Kompany can play 4D chess in a way that even Mr. Spock would be proud of, although that would open him up to allegations of deliberately fielding weakened squads. So there we are, we're champions at their place. Who knew that Dreamland actually temporarily got moved to the wrong end of the M65? But in the middle of a season, or sort of the end of a season, where the club changed absolutely everything, on and off the pitch, I've talked about that before, and we changed everything and entered a kind of twilight zone where the team play the most amazing football, the most exciting football, controlled passing, controlled attacking, controlled aggression. We control the horizontal, we control the vertical. It's actually the outer limits, that one. The game itself, typical derby game. At the end of the day, not a massive amount in it, not a massive amount of quality. Kind of ironic that, Clarets were on the wrong end of the possession for the match stats, as it seems, but then scored from their only shot on goal. This team finds ways to win. This team finds ways to constantly change and adapt, and it's absolutely fantastic. Not a great game, but, at the end of the day, they never are great games. Although we did have one back in November, which was one of the greatest games of all time. Alan Pace wasn't there. He wasn't there due to the ticketing shenanigans, which saw 2,244 Clarets manage to get tickets. Final petty thing where they're shoved in a corner outside of view of the TV cameras. Although perhaps, maybe I should give them some credit. Never attribute to malice what you can to incompetence. They probably just forgot to change the ticketing system to stop selling from the top left of the stand, and then realised, oh well, they're in the corner anyway, who cares? It doesn't matter. Those 2,000 fans still had a view. Although, as I say, Alan Pace not there due to not going in protest. He sent a local councillor and his wife, which I thought was a very classy move. Sent a local councillor and his wife to represent the club there. So, as I say, Alan Pace not actually there due to the ticketing shenanigans, which made it probably the first derby game where the owners of neither team were present. Although we have to point out that Alan Pace wasn't there out of solidarity with the supporters of the club that he owns, whereas opposite numbers weren't there out of indifference towards theirs. Yeah, not a great game of quality, but settled by a moment of genius. Manuel Benson scoring for the third game in a row, the same goal. He must be like Arjen Robben, we'll just rename him to that. He scores the same goal every single time. I think he's scored 10 so far this season, and it would not surprise me if 7 of them came from the same place in the same style. It is a beautiful piece of technique to watch. It appears to be unstoppable even when keepers know it's coming. And he will go down now in club legend along with the rest of the players, but particularly in club legend. He will never have to open a door in the town of Burnley again. And I pretty much guarantee that the next child, or every child for the next few weeks who was born in Burnley General Hospital, will be called Manuel, including the girls. Another man who will go down in history is Ashley Barnes, but for a different reason, but a very, very Ashley Barnes reason. The East Lancashire Derby Book of Shithousery is quite big. It has names, infamous names, that are even now difficult to say, things like Dunn and Olsen and Sir Lee Williamson, or the Three Stooges as I always think of them. But Ashley Barnes wrote his own chapter into that in the last minute by somehow handballing the ball without being called for the penalty. And that's such an Ashley Barnes thing. I think it's utterly wonderful. I think it's hilarious. You can say the officials missed it. Yes, they did miss it. They absolutely missed it. And that makes it all the better and all the funnier. So when we talk, about, oh, you won it on our patch, but you only got away with Ashley Barnes's handball because the ref was too incompetent to notice. Yes, I know, and that makes it even funnier and even sweeter. And for it to be Ashley Barnes, perhaps his last major contribution, probably actually will be his last major contribution in a claret and blue shirt. So typical of Ashley Barnes to go down in his last season with 2 goals to win a derby and then an undetected handball to save one. I love watching the post-game, the coverage. I thought VK looking on proudly was a hell of an image. Some of the images will go down forever. The photographs are absolutely amazing, but some of the TV stuff kind of gave away quite a few emotions. You could see Vincent Kompany looking on incredibly proudly. This is a guy who's won just about everything he could do as a player. Yet as a manager, you could see the pride that he had for the job that he's done and the players. And I thought it was absolutely typical of the man and the way that he manages and the way that he cares for his players, that there was a moment where he was standing with his coaching staff around about like 5 to 10 yards away from the players who were celebrating on the touchline. I thought that was incredibly professional and indicative of the man, that he was giving the players the credit, the time, the plaudits, not taking it on himself. It's very easy to become Vincent Kompany's Burnley in the same way it became Frank Lampard's Derby County and then Wayne Rooney's Derby County. We could have had been Vincent Kompany's Burnley for a season, but he didn't put himself front and centre like that. It wasn't something he was pushing, and to the end he was pushing his players to the forefront, but enjoying it himself and being a full part of the celebrations, and that was absolutely fantastic. His opposite number, John Dahl Thomason, a few bitter comments. He's played 2, lost 2. A few of the comments about parachute payments and all that kind of thing, factually incorrect if you know how parachute payments work. But secondly, I'm not going to take that kind of hypocrisy off that club. Other clubs can say we've got money and all that kind of stuff, but that lot, I'm not taking that from that club who, let us not forget, bought success in the 90s. I don't know if you know this, but back in the 1880s and 1890s, football was professionalising, and a large reason for that was because Blackburn Rovers were winning FA Cups while paying players under the counter illegally. So, they bought success from the day that they were started up, and to sit there and listen to them complain about a team buying success that isn't them, you can take that stuff and you can get it into the bin. But finally, a moment typified by Josh Brownhill now. Players get abused during a game, and I've always had this rule that I don't care that players give it back Because if your job is to get shouted at by 20,000, 40,000 people, some horrendous abuse at times as well, it's only human and only right that that player should be able to give it back without fans clutching their pearls and their handbags. And we have a number of players who are feisty enough to do that. And the sight of Josh Brownhill giving those fans the inflatable trophy lift was hilarious and wonderful, not least because it was significant. It was significant because the footage of the fans, the Rovers fans, who were standing there yelling and screaming and raging and gesticulating and losing their temper at a player from a rival club, a hated rival club, who's standing there and taking the mickey out of them, who's standing there and lifting a trophy on their turf, who's standing there and demonstrating that the club that these angry fans and upset and raging fans follow is not a patch on the club that he plays for and his fans are celebrating the success of. He's standing there and demonstrating that they don't count, that their club is irrelevant. And I saw those scenes and I saw those fans and I thought to myself, that used to be us. That used to be Burnley. Those fans used to be raging at people in Rovers shirts and players in Rovers shirts who were winning because ultimately they were more successful, they were better, they were richer, they were more organised, they had everything. And we felt irrelevant, and it was our only way of demonstrating and being defiant. But now the tables are turned, and we're the ones on the other side. They're the ones who are irrelevant, and that's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing sight. But one of the things I've always said, and I started being a Claret fan in the early '90s. So I went through those darkest of times. But I always sort of said, that football is cyclical. It is for clubs like Burnley. It is for clubs like Blackburn. You're not protected from the downs as well as the ups in the way that a Liverpool, a Man City, a Man United is. So you've got to remember to be nice on the way up because you're going to get it on the way down. And Rovers forgot that. And that's partly why they are so upset and so angry. But a large part of me doesn't care, I'm not going to give it back to them. But, sort of, the best revenge is living well. And Clarets are living well indeed right now. And, the Premier League awaits. All the problems, all the issues with the Premier League and VAR and Sky and all that kind of stuff awaits. And maybe we get relegated next year. But we're going to live out on this night, on this game for a season. It won't matter. Even in the darkest moments of next season, we'll just turn around and go, Clarets went to Ewood. Clarets went to Ewood. Clarets went to Ewood. And won the fucking league. If you've got any comments about this video, please feel free to leave them down below and I will respond where I can. If you liked it, click the like button. And if you like what I do, have a look around the rest of the channel and click subscribe to be notified when I produce new content.